It's time for the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters, an inside look at your teams in your city.
Welcome to the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. It's Monday, August 19th, and I'm David Todd of 970 ESPN Pittsburgh, joined by my colleagues Stan Savran and Tim Benz of the X Morning Show. Tim, let's start with you. Pirates had a rough week. 3 extra inning losses.
Yep.
Marte drops the ball in St. Louis in the 14-inning game. Burnett blows a 4-0 lead in a 12-inning game on Thursday. They lose both of those. Yesterday, 16-inning game, the manager, Clint Hurdle, takes the bat out of his best hitter's hand, Andrew McCutchen, by sacrificing with Jordy Mercer. Chris Johnson pitches great. They lose 4-2. Rank the losses for me.
I think a lot of them are similar. I mean, obviously the Starling Marte one hurts the most because it was right there, and that's low-hanging fruit to just look at and say that one hurts because of the way it could have been a win. But what you said about A.J. Burnett blowing the lead, that's the theme that I can't get away from. It's that the starters recently have been staked to leads. They're not really big leads. That one was the 4-0 one, but you know what? 5
leads of 2 runs or more since August 10th that they didn't win any of the games.
Yeah, since the Marlins sweep, they've really struggled, their starters have, with holding leads. Even Charlie Morton in the Starling Marte game was given a 3-0 lead, and that got whittled down to 3-2, thus setting up the tying run in the 9th. It's a lot to ask of these starters to constantly have to hold every lead or have the bullpen do it on their behalf because there's not a lot of offense there to expand on a lead in the middle to late innings. But that's what I keep coming back to is for a team that was used to hanging around, then going back in front after their starters kept them in games, now they're unable to finish off leads that they've been given on the mound.
I thought the Marte game was the worst, not only because it was there within their grasp, everybody's with Martes apparently, but also because it came against the Cardinals. They could have left St. Louis with a 4-game lead. They leave with a 2-game lead instead. And it's not only the impact on the Pirates. I thought that if the Cardinals lose that series, it has a profound impact on them. You know, they're not a team that you look at and say, well, there might be a lack of confidence. But after getting whacked around in Pittsburgh, I think they realized how important the series with the Pirates was. Why? Because they changed their entire rotation to set up not only for that series, but all 3 remaining series against the Pirates to make sure that Wainwright would pitch against them. Mike Matheny was saying it's almost like now or never with them. And if they lose that, by the way, they drop into 3rd place behind Cincinnati. So I thought that game was the one, not only because it was right there in the 9th inning, those always hurt, but because of the ramification it may have had on the Cardinals. And as far as Burnett is concerned, you're looking to him for leadership. He likes to say, you know, I'm the leader of the wide receivers.
He does have a Hines Ward edge to him, does he not?
He does. But you know what?
I'm such a team guy. Look at me, how much of a leader I am.
And then you blow not only 1 lead against the Cardinals, but 2 in a row. And not only do you blow the leads, you collapse. You fall apart. You don't expect that from him.
Well, Stan, let me ask you this. The Pirates staff right now, we know who the 5 starters are. Now there's speculation. Should they skip a lock start? Are you going to push Garrett Cole back because of the innings count? Which of the 3 guys? I'm going to keep A.J. out of this for now because I think body of work, probably you consider he and Lariano still the top 2 guys. Which of the other 3 guys gives you the most comfort to win a game today?
Well, let me just go one thing back to Burnett that I find concerning. If you remember last year, his second-half performance did not come close to his first-half performance. Wasn't bad, but it wasn't nearly as good. He's 36, and now we're seeing the same thing. And I wonder about, you know, and now he's had a month off because of the calf injury, but when you look at last year, he's 36, and he could be falling into that same problem he had a year ago because of his age. I still haven't given up on Locke. Morton, frankly, I mean, I don't trust a great deal. Cole has shown he's
Morton's been great last 2 times out.
He has. He hasn't convinced me yet that he's the guy that you asked me about. I still, for right now, would go with Locke.
Who you got, Tim?
I'm going to go with Morton, actually. And for the reasons that Stan brings up, he could have a bad game at any given point. But his sinker seems to be working a little bit better now, and I trust that approach to pitching maybe more than I do with Jeff Locke, in the sense that it's going to take a lot of ground balls getting through for him to have a blow-up start like what Locke had. I just feel like, I know if Morton goes out there, he's going to get a couple double plays, and if the Pirates can give them 4 runs as opposed to 3, maybe they can get a victory.
Tim, there's a lot of talk now. There was a lot of criticism yesterday of Andrew McCutchen. And you look at some of the games, he didn't get the hits with runners in scoring position. McCutchen was on base 3 times yesterday. At the end of the day, it's about not making outs. I think that's some of that's misguided. But we've seen a lot of guys get through waivers, Justin Morneau being one of those guys. Is it imperative on Neil Huntington now to go make one of these deals in the next 10 days or 2 weeks?
Well, I think that as I've been saying this for a month, they're going to make the playoffs. The D-backs are still 7.5 behind in chasing for the second wild card. It's not what they want. Frankly, I never thought they would win the division.
And 4 with Cincinnati right now, so somebody's going to lose.
Somebody's going to lose,
that
right?
Helps the Pirates in that.
Exactly, and they're going to the West Coast and playing 2 poor teams. Not horrible, but poor teams. That hasn't helped them in the past. I think that there was wisdom in their strategy. We think we've got the guys here who can lift the offense. Well, 3 weeks have gone by, and not only haven't they done that, they've gotten worse. I've been a big Garrett Jones fan since the day he got here. I always believed in him. But for right now, he's terrible. I mean, he can't get the ball out of the infield. Gabby Sanchez gives you nothing. I think one of the reasons they sent Lambeau down was because they saw Jose Tabata hit for 2 games and, oh, he's finally arrived. They looked at Lambeau for 3 games, get him out of here. They looked at Tabata for 3 games and, oh, we found a right fielder. No, they haven't. It's not going to come from within. I do think that they need to look for a bat, not only because they're going to make the playoffs, but if Marte doesn't get on and McCutchen doesn't hit, and Walker's done better.
Walker has done better, but yeah,
they're
it's
dead.
True. Tim,
Pedro's down to what, 230?
232.
232.
One swing of a bat in 3 games is not enough.
The other thing, Stan, you said Gabby Sanchez. Gabby Sanchez got an on-base percentage around 350. Pedro's down to 295. I mean, yep, the power's enticing, but yeah, it's just through the lineup. I agree, and you can't put it on one guy. Russell Martin left 8 guys on base yesterday.
They struck out 18 times. I mean, even in the 16-inning games.
It's impressive.
I mean, even if you play 25 innings, 18 strikeouts is a lot. The swing and misses. Forget the runners in scoring position. I looked up this stat. This is before the Arizona series, and this will come as no surprise to anyone. The Pirates rank dead last in Major League Baseball in bringing a man in from third with less than 2 outs. So runners in scoring position, that only tracks batting average. I'm talking about sac flies. I'm talking about ground outs. Anything but a wild pitch or a pass ball, they're dead last, and they are way below the league average. Their average is 460. The Marlins' force percentage, 460. The Marlins, 462. The average in the major leagues is 538. And that's what happens when you strike out 18 times a game.
Tim, the question was for 3 months of the season, the 3 best teams are in the National League Central. Mm-hmm. Are the 3 teams in the National League Central the 3rd, 4th, and 5th best teams now?
Probably, yeah, because of the way you're talking about with the way the Dodgers are playing, the way the Braves are playing. Yeah, absolutely, I'd say that.
Well, but I don't disagree, but I also think the caveat in there is that the Braves play in a horrible division. It's much worse than anybody anticipated because of the Nationals and the Phillies. And the National League West is no bargain either. So I'm not so sure. I mean, they've got the best records. I'm not so sure they're the best teams.
If they all make the playoffs, the group that we're talking about right now, I wouldn't be shocked to see that the Pirates kind of go into the playoffs as the 5th best team.
No question.
I mean, they could literally be the 5th team and have to go on the road for the 1-game wild card with the way things are going right now, which kind of stinks when you think about it as a Pirate fan, given the fact we were all anticipating them having home field throughout somewhere in the early part of this month. But it's still a long way from where they came. And, if, like you talked about before, if Burnett and Liriano are all they're cracked up to be, then let's see them win 1 game and try to force it to a best 3 of 5 in the 2nd round.
Although, you know what? If it comes down to the 1-game playoff here in Cincinnati, St. Louis, wherever it is, I'll take Liriano. And I'll take him against any, unless Johnny Cueto gets healthy, because they can't hit him with a bed slat. But I'll take Liriano against anybody the Reds or Cardinals have to offer in a 1-game playoff.
Game in Denver,
Colorado.
Yeah, right.
I've been on Liriano for a month now. Let's talk a little bit of Steelers. We've got the Steelers playing the Redskins tonight. Their second exhibition game at FedEx Field, 8 o'clock. Tim, what's the most interesting thing for you to see tonight? Is it Le'Veon Bell? assuming he goes?
If he goes, yeah, because I want to see what the outside zone running scheme looks like with backs that will actually be running the ball behind the outside zone running scheme. It is enticing and intriguing the fact that Larod Stevens-Howling ran it better than anybody else did in Game 1, but he's probably not going to get that many carries the whole season, let alone what he got in the first game. So I would like to see that. I also want to see some more extended time for that first-team secondary. Watching Ike and well, not Ike, because it was Willie Gay who got burned on that one, along with the two safeties.
Yeah, I think the safeties are responsible anyway.
And the play before that, they both swung and missed, running up to try to tackle a guy. So I want to see what's really there with this first-team secondary. I want to see, not like they're going to be extraordinarily tested by the passing game with Kirk Cousins in there, as opposed to RG3 for Washington. But, Cousins is not a bad backup quarterback. Looked pretty good the last time out. So that's what I want to look at, how this first-team veteran secondary is doing at this point in the preseason.
Stan?
I want to see a downfield passing game, and I'm not talking about 50-yard bombs to Mike Wallace. I want to see a down-the-field passing game. I want to see slants. I want to see 10, 12-yard outs. I mean, I want to see deep curls. I want to I don't want everything. I don't want to see dink and stink. I mean, I want to see a horizontal passing game. The second thing, number one, I would not play Bell tonight. There's no reason to. If there's any question, what's the difference? I want to see the offensive line function as a 5-man unit. With the stretch running game, yeah, the running back I think matters more than he ever has before, so I'm not going to discount the importance of the running back, but I think we're all able to watch an offensive line and see, is there space? And I want to see. There seemed to be against the Giants, regardless of the running back, their other running backs are serviceable. I want to see if they're creating space. We'll find out about the running backs soon enough. I want to see if that offensive line, which I think could be the salvation of this team, I think that offensive line could turn an 8-8 into a 10-6 because it masks whatever deficiencies they have in the passing game and whatever deficiencies they'll have without Heath Miller.
I'll tell you, for me, the thing to look at is the Steelers pretty much know who their starting 22 is going to be. I'm interested in the inside linebacker position. They had 5 or 6 guys didn't play really well in that first exhibition game. A lot of guys, it was a position that I thought was really going to be lacking in depth. I thought those guys really represented themselves well. Be interested to see how that goes. Staying with the offensive line, Stan, we saw the offensive line behind these first 5 guys, and Kelvin Beachum looks like the Steelers have nothing. So I assume the starters will go at least 3 or 4 series, maybe Pouncey only goes 2, but the guys after that, there's a pretty solid belief amongst people around the organization that maybe they don't even have the 8th and 9th guys in there. So I'll be checking that out.
Who's the 7th?
Well, I give John Malecki a little bit of a pass. I think he's the Doug Legursky of this season.
He's the only guy. The mere fact that they gave Beachum some snaps at center last week tells you all you need to know.
He didn't take any last week, but he's going to take some this week. He's going to get some snaps at
center.
Well,
I think the scouts maybe have one eye on the game and the other eye on the waiver wire because they've got to get some help.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's been a major point of concern, and what heightens it is, when's the last time they've had a healthy offensive line consistently for an entire season? 2005?
Yeah.
Honestly, go back and track how many significant injuries they've had along the offensive line. It's got to be more so than any 5-man unit for any team. So
other than Foster, every one of those guys had a significant injury last year.
They're going to get hurt again, and they need depth, and they don't have it right now.
Yep. Well, it'll be interesting to see. They've gotten through camp relatively healthy. They're done with that now. Steelers-Redskins tonight on ESPN, and then they'll start their practices at the Southside facility. That's going to wrap up the Pittsburgh Sports Reporters. Tim Benz of the X Morning Show, the Steelers Radio Network, Stan Savard at 970 ESPN, and you can catch him on Root Sports for every pre-Pirates game, and you can catch me on the Steelers Radio Network at 970 ESPN as well.